Welcome to Fight News Now Extra. I am John Pollock, joined as always by John Ramdeen and Robin Black. We're heading into the weekend with UFC 191 coming up on Saturday night from Las Vegas, Nevada. Headlined by Demetrious Johnson and John Dodson, a rematch from January of 2013. John Dodson this week getting news that his girlfriend going into labor the week of the fight. Coincidental that it's Labor Day weekend, I guess, as well.
Not in the U.S.
Hey, listen. Demetrious Johnson, though, I mean, this is somebody that has just defined what it is to be an elite-level flyweight. He has been the standard bearer of this division since its infancy. That is now 3 years since he won that championship. Is this a fight that John Dodson can win from breaking it down, Robin?
I mean, yeah, he can win it, but he has to win it a certain way. He has to knock him out. He has to hit him, drop him, and finish him. He's not going to win rounds 4 and round 5, and he's not going to win all 3 of the first 3. So he must knock him out, and that's a really hard thing to do against a guy who knows you must knock him out. And, you know, I haven't seen these prime times and preview shows for a long time. There's just too much actual fighting to watch. But I watched this one, and often you see these and it's like, oh, they've done a pretty good job of convincing us that this is the fight. But, you know, the odds makers, Gabe, our own Gabe, and Cody Saftik and Paul Shaughnessy, all the guys kind of experts around the office in that, they say that Demetrious Johnson is still a big favorite because you weigh it out, you look at it, this guy's so incredibly good. This other guy has to land the perfect shot. He has about 10, 12 minutes to do it, and then he's lost the fight.
However, you talk about that, you look at their first fight, and John Dodson did land a number of punches on Demetrious Johnson's chin that sent him down. Can he capitalize? Because we know that he's able to land those punches. Does he have the confidence? You know, as you mentioned, just gave birth. Does that reinvigorate him? Does that give him more motivation? Are we going to see a guy that is more focused? Because one of the things Robin and I were talking about is that Dodson doesn't seem all that focused. The idea is, oh, I'm the magician and I'm going to knock this guy out in 2 seconds. Where Demetrious Johnson says, I'm ready for hell. I'm ready to get punched in the face. I'm ready to be in horrible, horrible positions, but I'm going to work through it. I'm going to work through it for 25 minutes, and you might have one way that you're going to win. I have a multitude of ways to win.
I think it's also to look at their track record since that first fight. I mean, John Dodson, he had a pretty significant injury where he missed pretty much an entire year. Against Zach Makovsky, who's a quality flyweight, I didn't see a performance in there in comparison to going up against Demetrious Johnson, who, let's not forget, that Dodson fight, that was his first title defense after winning the title with the Joseph Benavidez here in Toronto. And since that time, look what Demetrious Johnson has done in that time. If Demetrious Johnson was here for the first fight, I think he's at this level now. I can't say the same with John Dodson making the same gains.
He's 5'5" now.
Yes.
That's what you say. Yeah. Sorry, man. That's cheap. But, you know, what he is, a giant, he's a mental giant. And that's the thing. That's the issue. In that fight against Dodson, what did he learn? Oh, I was so close. I had him up against, if I keep pushing like this, if I win minutes by minutes, they get better and better, and I'll finish guys. Then he finished 4, I think, of the next 5 guys he faced. Only the guy on EPO was the only guy who couldn't smash down and then finish. So, and finishing a couple of guys late. So, I mean, when you have the power to hit a guy and he wakes up and goes, what happened? Oh, that happened? Sure, you can win fights, but they run this one 10 times and Johnson wins 8 of them.
But the Zach Makovsky thing, you've talked about it before. You know, you look at Zach Makovsky, he was a champion in Bellator. He's trained with some of the best in the world. You know, he goes to TriStar to hone his abilities. And for John Dodson, you know, there's sometimes the approach is not just to knock the guy out. Let's just go out and get this victory because we know how dangerous our opponent is. Why take those risks? Just go, play the conservative game. If it's boring, who cares? What did it do? Got John Dodson a rematch.
I think the most interesting fight on the main card is the heavyweight bout between Andrei Arlovski and Frank Mir. I don't care what numbers you throw at me, what stats you throw at me. This is coming down to 2 guys that is probably ending in the first round, and if it gets out of the first round, I think that's a positive for Frank Mir. But this was a fight that originally was to happen all the way back in 2005. Frank Mir was not healthy enough from the motorcycle accident, and Arlovski was the interim champion at that point. So you fast forward 10 years, and it's not just a fight that's happening 10 years later, but one that it's got stakes attached to it. And I'm very intrigued by this fight.
Yeah, but I'm sure a lot of people also thought that when the UFC signed Alistair Overeem and Frank Mir, that fight wasn't getting out of the first round either.
True.
And what
Mark
happened,
Hunt and Antonio Silva.
Exactly. You know, these are things you just can't predict. And especially when you're talking about two very experienced guys. Maybe if this was 10 years ago, it might not get out of the first round, but I think both guys understand the stakes. You talk about it. Andrei Arlovski can't just go out and do what he did against Travis Brown. He's got to take his time because Frank Mir went and trained with Greg Jackson. Greg Jackson knows how intelligent Frank Mir is, so this is not going to be a sprint. It's going to be a marathon. You got to take your time.
Arlovski's knocked out 17 giant dudes in his life, like 17 giant heavyweights. And he's a scary dude. So the logic says that Frank Mir puts him against the fence, works it down to the ground, and submits him because he's submitted guys that are better than Andrei Arlovski on the ground. But Frank Mir just fought a shaved Sasquatch named Duffy. And it was exactly the same logical thing. You take that shaved Sasquatch, you bring him to the ground, you submit him. He's been training with Angelo Reyes down in Vegas, who's a great boxing coach. And we're down there, we're going to come train with you, Angelo, we're going to shoot it. But, and he drew the Sasquatch in, planted his foot as he came in, the left foot, and caught him on the way in. When guys are trying to knock you out, and you are the calm, analytical, smart boxer, you can make them pay for it. I mean, we talked about Demetrius Johnson getting clipped up by the magician. It was when he was overextending. That's exactly what Angelo got Frank ready to do against the Sasquatch, and that's what he's going to have him ready to do against Arlovski. I got Frank Mir.
However, Todd Duffy not as experienced as Andrei Arlovski. Andrei Arlovski has been around the block, but he does seem to have a little bit of ego. He seems to, kind of disregard what anybody else's game plan is. Like, I'm the former UFC heavyweight champion. I'm going to go and smash this guy. And opposed to, you know what? I know that Frank Mir is very, very dangerous. I've got to take my time with this.
He also, unlike Duffy, he's a Sasquatch. He doesn't even shave. It's just like, I'm Andrei Arlovski. I'm going to be like a regular Sasquatch, full bear.
Official pick is Frank Mir.
I got Frank Mir.
Don't give us a pick on.
No, I'm going to go with Andrei Arlovski. I think we learned a lot about Andrei Arlovski in that fight with Travis Brown. Decided to fight a buddy and took some serious punches and came back and got the victory.
All right, we've got Mir Arlovski, the tiebreaker. You can find out Saturday night on our pre-show at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, where we will have all our predictions for the main card fights.